Thank you. Will you remark further on the amendment, Senator Hwang? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam President. Through you to the proponent of this amendment, some questions.
Thank you.
Thank you to the good ranking chair, the ranking member of the Children's Committee where this bill came from, but I think there's a derivative of it in also public safety. But could you please clarify that this amendment addresses section 5 and 6 of the newly amended language specific to day camp? And could you please repeat the solution that you have provided in this amendment? Through you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Perillo.
Thank you, Madam President, and I thank the gentleman for his question. So yes, to the first half of that. The amendment before us strikes sections 5 and 6, which we recognize now as amended, are the sections on municipal requirement for licensure. That is the first section of what this amendment does. And then secondly, it provides funding for those municipalities that choose to implement a background check.
Thank you, Senator Hwang.
Thank you. And in listening to the conversation on this amendment, we heard that should this take effect, that there is no state funding to address this mandate that's imposed on our municipal daycare agencies. And what this amendment would do is to provide relief for a state mandate on our agencies at such late hours in regards to its implementation. Would that be correct? Through you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Perillo.
Thank you, Madam President. And the gentleman is correct. During the discussion here today, we checked through one item after another, all of which would increase costs from an operational perspective, and many of which would require capital outlays as well. Yet, we all agree on both sides of the aisle that there is zero state funding to make any of it happen. Those costs would be borne by local property taxpayers. They would be borne by those families that utilize the service that is so vital in many of our communities. So the gentleman is absolutely correct. There is no state funding to do this. There is no way to cover these costs other than to put them on the backs of the folks who utilize them.
Thank you, Senator Hwang.
Thank you. Through you, I want to thank the good senator for raising it. It is an unfunded mandate, and this amendment addresses it. But I'm deeply even troubled should this amendment be supported, and I hope it does, that it doesn't solve the timing issue for many of our municipalities. At least the funding will give them an opportunity to have a choice to undertake the rigorous process that this entails. But should that be, and even as an unfunded mandate, through you to the proponent of this amendment, clarify further that we are very late in the season in regards to staffing, in regards to curriculum design, that these kind of background checks and the requirements of this unfunded mandate on section 5 and 6 would pose such a untenable and also a unachievable kind of a mandate on our community daycare facilities. As the ranking member in kids, where this bill comes from, were there discussions in regards to unintended consequences? I know you came in midterm, the good senator from Shelton, but were these kind of deliberations? For me, I reviewed over testimony that were submitted from many of the municipal daycare facilities that said this is an absolute untenable, unachievable, and it would be catastrophic for their daycare program, which might be canceled as a result of this. Through you, what you're providing in this amendment is at least a salvo of making that effort to try to salvage a program that did not listen to public testimony and input on the devastating impact it would have on daycare programs. Would that be correct? Through you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Perillo.
Thank you, Madam President. To the gentleman's question, I can only speak to the contents of the submitted testimony. The public hearings on this and the vote on this actually took place before I was here and before I was a member of the committee, but it only takes you a couple seconds to review the first few pieces of testimony to identify the fact that indeed towns made it very, very clear that either they could not implement these changes in a timely manner or an affordable manner, and in many cases, those towns indicated that they may need to close their day programs if this legislation took effect. And further to the gentleman's point, and you are absolutely correct, and Heather and Senator Summers mentioned it before as well. Our towns spoke out. They did it in unison. They did it very clearly. But nobody was listening. Nobody was listening. Their concerns fell on deaf ears. We are stating that unequivocally here today, and it appears today, too, that nobody's listening, and that's a shame.
Thank you, Senator Hwang.
Thank you, Madam President. I think it's important to note that this amendment addresses Section 5 and 6 that have created such outrage from many of the municipal leaders that seem to be falling on deaf ears. And also, for me, I'm deeply troubled the fact that it undermines and taints a generally very good bill. That should this amendment be supported and passed, that the rest of the bill, I would dare say, have unanimous support, because the title says, concerning resources and support for infant, toddlers, and disconnected youth. Well, through your answer on the amendment, there is no resources and there is no support. It is a state mandate that says, we're not listening to you. We think it's better. Now, make no mistake about it, as a big, strong supporter of our Office of Early Childhood and the difficult tasks that they have in the horror story that we've heard in the past year of a summer camp that was negligent and poorly staffed, that caused a horrible tragedy. But as mentioned before, it is an isolated incident. And if you worked with the municipality daycare camps that I know, particularly in Newtown and in Fairfield, the rigorous review process, the oversight and supervisory role of directors are critical. And what you have done in this kind of a language is to say, we don't trust you. We don't think you're doing your job. And we're going to make you run through hoops, spending hundreds of dollars for background checks of mostly high school students working to do a summer job. Look, make no mistake about it. My kids are 30 and 26. One of the richest experiences that they have had in a summer is to go to those day camps. And as a protective parent, I got to meet all these camp counselors who were college students, who were high school students, and who are now active parents and sent their kids to summer camp. Let's be clear. I know it is a solution trying to address a very important problem, but it is minute. It is literally, using the pun, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And in this case, unless this amendment is approved, you are literally throwing out hundreds of kids, creating chaos and uncertainty for hundreds of parents, and hampering municipalities' ability to provide a critical community service that has been proven over and over, year after year, to be an asset and contribution to the greater good of the community. So again, I urge support of this amendment to remove 5 and 6 and let us move on and pass a good bill that could be made to reflect the will of the people. Because right now, 5 and 6, Section 5 and 6, seems to say that we in government know better than you as camp counselors, know better than you as municipal leaders, know better than you than parents. If truly parents were concerned about the standard of review and the caliber of camp counselors, I can assure you they would be the first one talking to the municipal camp directors. I know I would be. We haven't had that. We haven't had incidents of that. So what this seems to me is a solution looking to solve one tragic incident while throwing every other legitimate, well-run, functional camp into disarray and possibly eradicate them forever. So I urge support of this, and I'm troubled. I'm deeply troubled the fact that we would impose these kind of unfunded mandates and just cavalierly say, no, we're not going to fund you. I think that is incredibly disrespectful to our municipal leaders that struggle every day to limit property taxes and burden our community. So I thank the proponent of this amendment in regards to addressing and removing 5 and 6, and let us all agree to this and move on and passing this important bill that we all like to support. So thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Will you remark further? Good afternoon, Senator.